Get instant news and information.
Flowers are sent. Now let's access the online travel service.
How long have you had this?
About a week. Plane tickets are ordered. Now, let's look up dinosaurs. What do you think? Compton's Encyclopedia or National Geographic?
You get all that with America Online?
Yeah, you can read Business Week online before it hits the newsstand. You know, I can even send email on the internet. And of course, there's my personal favorite, live chat. That's how I met my new kayaking buddies. We'll check that out later, after the game.
I just want to show you one clip to set the table here. If you watched yesterday, this will be a rehash, but nonetheless, Kevin Spacey flew around the world on Jeffrey Epstein's jet with Bill Clinton. Kevin Spacey, in a moment that should be way more famous than it is, on Piers Morgan's show, and we do Piers Morgan's show all the time. He's a great interviewer, and I don't believe that Kevin Spacey's lying here. He said, yo, I was really angry at Jeffrey Epstein because all these little girls came out prancing through the plane as soon as we took off. And you put Bill Clinton in a really bad situation. Well, Bill Clinton had already been on that plane 1,000 times, right? Well, at the very least, 28 times. And we think that this is quite damning. Here we go.
Because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, who is this guy? So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights.
There were young girls on those flights, yeah.
The former president he's talking about, of course, is Bill Clinton. A bunch of photos of Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey on these trips, and photos of them on the jet, photos of Bill Clinton getting massages in the jet, photos of Bill Clinton inside of the Lolita Express, so on. Testimony from the victims naming Bill Clinton. The victims had no idea who Donald Trump was, by the way. There's hundreds of thousands of pages of victim testimony that's already been published. They didn't even know who the hell Bill Clinton was. Now, yesterday we learned that Bill Clinton wrote a letter to Jeffrey Epstein and was talking about children in the letter. It's particularly creepy and weird. Jeffrey Epstein's birthday album included letters from Bill Clinton, Leon Black, and some of the other members of, well, who you'd expect. Now, as we've said, we're going to take this stuff with a grain of salt. But we were very frustrated as to why the Wall Street Journal wouldn't, if they were going to publish a letter from Donald Trump, which doesn't sound like Donald Trump at all. Sounds like nothing that we know of Donald Trump. And guys, can you just in this article, can you point me to where is Bill Clinton's actual commentary? Isn't it reassuring, says Bill Clinton. There it is. Isn't it reassuring to have lasted so long across the years, learning and knowing adventures of ineligible word, okay, that's strange, and also have your childlike curiosity. Okay, this is to drive to make a difference and the solace of friends. Again, it's very, like, even for Clinton, this seems a little poetic. Was this all like penned by Ghislaine Maxwell? I don't know. Was it penned by Ghislaine Maxwell? Bill Clinton complimenting Jeffrey Epstein on his childlike curiosity. Well, okay. All right. Whatever. You know what? Whatever. I hope they publish the original source documents. That's what I hope. This stuff can be manipulated. This stuff can be used. It can be taken out of context. Publish the original source documents. Do it. Do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump's calling for it. President Trump on the White House lawn just moments ago saying you should be looking at Bill Clinton, who went to the island at least 28 times. Well, wow. Where's this change? Now, this is how you actually shut down this argument, okay? Now they're cooking with peanut oil here, ladies and gentlemen. Now you're cooking. Shut down the argument by saying, I'm not the criminal. You can have all the evidence you want. I'm not the criminal. It's Bill Clinton who's the criminal here. He's the one who has something to hide, obviously. He's the one who deserved to be subpoenaed and was subpoenaed yesterday. And you need to start looking into him because he has a pretty nasty record with this guy. Here's Donald Trump moments ago at the White House.
Well, I don't want to talk about that. What I do want to say is that Todd is a great attorney. But you ought to be speaking about Larry Summers. You ought to be speaking about some of his friends that are hedge fund guys. They're all over the place. You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times. I never went to the
Do
island.
you maintain you did not write a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday?
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot. All you have to do is take a look at the dossier, the fake dossier. Everything's fake with that administration. Everything's fake with the Democrats. Take a look at what they just found about the dossier. Everything is fake. They're a bunch of sick people. Where did you see the people laying outside? Exactly.
Right across.
Now, like I'm sitting here in the studio cheering, because this is the first time that we've watched that. We just watched this clip together. Again, this took place seconds ago at the White House. I'm sitting here cheering, going, "That's the messaging. Thank you. That's the messaging. The messaging isn't shut up, stop talking about Epstein." Because that's not going to work. Like, I'm sorry, I do this professionally. I'm on the internet for a living. That's not going to work. That's going to give you a nuclear Streisand effect. Barbara Streisand, stop taking pictures of my house. I'll sue you. Everyone wants to take a photo of her house, right? That's the way human nature works. Don't walk on the grass. I want to touch the grass. This is the proper messaging. Thank you. Oh, okay, Epstein. Here, how about this? We'll go let Ghislaine Maxwell tell you everything. We'll let her deliver boxes of evidence. We'll sue to get all the testimony unveiled. We'll release everything. And then why don't you go ask Bill Clinton about it? How about that? How about you ask Bill Clinton? And if it brings down foreign governments, if this brings down our allyship with people who aren't actually our allies, then good. Damn it, let the chips fall where they may. That's the messaging. Good. Great. The messaging that Donald Trump's always had. The truth is the truth, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it, and you should lean into it. And there's some people who, viewed it as an attack. The fact that we have a historic understanding of President Trump and this issue. It's not an attack to bring up what Donald Trump has said about Jeffrey Epstein, how Donald Trump actually started his political career on Jeffrey Epstein to a degree. And we've said it openly, and we're actually proud of it because it is a matter of fact that President Trump popularized and wove this issue, this "I will destroy the pedophile elite," into the fabric of his campaign. Here's President Trump saying on stage at CPAC over 10 years ago that Bill Clinton was a predator on Epstein Island. Now is Donald Trump back in action. Donald Trump in the groove. Donald Trump where he belongs. This is the Donald Trump, of course, that everyone fell in love with. Here we go.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
He continued, by the way. Like just minutes later, he told us about Prince Andrew. Here we go.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
This was Donald Trump rightly understanding that this is a class warfare issue. This is the genius of President Trump. This issue is not an issue of Republican Democrat. It's not an issue of, private islands or even like clandestine intel operations. Those are very interesting facts, but it is at its core and at its very heart, deep in the bone, a class issue where everybody in this country instinctually says, wait a second. So these elite pederasts were able to just abuse young women from broken working class homes, which is where, of course, they entrapped them and recruited them, and then discard them, obviously, as we just saw with Virginia Roberts. And nothing happens to them? The state moves in to protect them? No, F you. It'd be nice to see one of these elite predators, for once in my life, get busted and have their lives ruined instead of my life ruined. I'm just the one who's sitting here trying to pay my taxes, trying to do something, build something. I'm just here trying to like have enough scratch to put in the plate at church when it passes in front of me. And these guys get to go and abuse and like kill women and like travel around the world on their planes. Kevin Spacey, the little girls come trotting out in the plane. They said it and they get away with it. And Trump like locked in on that and said, wait a second, this is a marquee issue of elites versus the working class. It is a class warfare issue at its heart. And it's why it won't go away. And it's why it needs to be solved. I've spoken so much about it. Been a lot of who push us one way or the other. You know, you need to talk about it way more. You don't talk about it enough. You know, whatever it is, like we're proud that we've asked some of the major questions on this, and like a dog with a bone, man, we're just not gonna let go. And that's the point here. And Donald Trump had it right. And it was nice to see Donald Trump back on that bicycle, right? Because the targeting needs to be redirected here. None of y'all care. None of y'all gave a damn about Jeffrey Epstein when it was Bill Clinton, who was the top of the name on the list. You didn't give a damn about any of these trafficked kids. In fact, you all voted for Kamala. You voted for Kamala for a continuation of the policies that leaves 500,000 little children trafficked throughout the country. And so now President Trump is doing exactly what he should have done from square one. And we're so glad that we're at this moment and redirecting and saying, no, you don't understand. I'm innocent and Bill Clinton's guilty. So why don't you go start asking Bill Clinton these questions? Donald Trump said this again, by the way, in the White House lawn. I think he says you need to focus on Bill Clinton with this list. It's a kind of hard to hear question. It's the best that we have right now. Again, this just happened. Here we go.
Interview going on. Todd Blanche is a great gentleman. He's a great man who's a great lawyer. He's got a great heart. But he's over there now. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I certainly can't talk about pardons.
Can you trust what she's telling him? She's a convicted trafficker who's eager to get out of prison.
Well, you know, he's a professional lawyer. I think he's been through things like this before. But, you know, you should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard, the former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein. I sure as hell didn't. Thank you very much. Mr. President,
Perfect. Rings like a bell. Turn it around on the guy who had an oil painting in a blue DNA-soaked dress in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion that he was leasing from the State Department. What the hell? It's perfect. It's great. It's exactly how you diffuse these things. I love it. It's Donald Trump back in the form that obviously won him the hearts of the American people, the working class and populace. And it's the right answer.